Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with 12 glorious works. 12 glorious works for people with short attention spans. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a short attention span. There really isn't. We're taught to think that it's evil, but in the musical terms, most pieces of music are rather short. I mean, songs are usually 2, 3, 4 minutes. That's about it. That's how we're taught to digest them, to digest music in small bits. And for most of musical history, even the larger forms of music consisted of agglomerations of smaller forms, little dance suites, things like that, collections of smaller pieces. And you could play all of them or some of them as you chose. It wasn't like a big deal. You were able to do whatever you liked in whatever form you liked, and nobody said much about it. It was only in the 19th century when we had these sort of crazy, romantic, egomaniacal, artist, hero, religious, quasi-religious figures who wrote these enormously long works that we were expected to actually sit through them, all of them, all at the same time. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Some of these were masterpieces, of course, and we could train ourselves to do it. Some people have the ability to simply take in 4 or 5 hours of Wagner opera at a sitting, and it's easy. Some people can learn how to do it. That's what most of us do. We learn how to do it if we think it's important enough and interesting enough. And as for the rest of us, well, we can enjoy things of shorter duration. So I'm going to give you a list of things that you could either listen to in their entirety or listen to in bits, or where you can select things from a larger pool of stuff. There's just an enormous, enormous quantity of really, really good music. In fact, the majority of really, really good music comes in smaller pieces. That's the truth. And it's been that way since time immemorial. So here we go. You ready? First, Handel's Water Music. So the Water Music is the absolutely perfect piece for someone with a short attention span, because the person in question was King George. I don't remember which King George. Was it King George II, I think it was, or George I? I don't know. One of the Georges. And he wanted to have music while he barged down the Seine River. So he was in one barge and the players were in another barge. He didn't like strings particularly. He liked woodwinds. He definitely was not a connoisseur. And so Handel wrote this enormous suite of dance pieces and other little occasional sniglets. And you could play them in any order, in any quantity, any way you want. You can listen to them. They've been arranged since in 3 suites, little groupings. But you don't even have to listen to a grouping. You could just take whatever you enjoy and play it as many times as you like and forget about the rest, if that's how you feel. There is an overture. There are some things. You could arrange them in larger groupings if that suits your fancy. But it's up to you. That's the point. I mean, it was up to the king or whoever, I doubt he even paid that much attention to it. He may have said, I want to hear that again, or ignored it entirely. So it's perfect, absolutely perfect if you don't have lots of time on your hands, but would like a little music, or aren't really all that concerned about how much music you are forced to listen to at any given time. Take Handel's Water Music, because it's all good. It's all fun to listen to. The tunes are marvelous, and it's delightful. Next, Sibelius, Pelléas and Melisande. I know that's not something that you would wake up in the morning and say, when was the last time I listened to Pelléas and Melisande? Well, it's a play. It's a symbolist play by Maurice Maeterlinck. Symbolist means it's fairy tales for adults, sort of, kind of. And it's a sad story. Melisande's an idiot. She thinks she's a princess. She lost her crown. She doesn't know where she's from. She doesn't know why she's from there. She's found by Golod, who wants some princess. And the king of Allemande, or he's going to be the king of Allemande, or whatever he is. And he marries her, even though he knows nothing about her. And she falls in love with his brother, and she doesn't know why. And she gets pregnant, but she's not really sure. And he kills her. Well, or he pulls her hair until she dies. It's basically ridiculous. And he kills his brother, Pelleas, and then she gives birth and dies. And eh, you know, what could I say? Debussy wrote an opera about it. Fauré wrote some incidental music to the play, and Sibelius wrote some incidental music to the play, and Schoenberg wrote an enormous tone poem. I mean, it was a very popular story back at the turn of the 20th century. But Sibelius's incidental music consists of a dozen or so pieces, very, very short for the most part, and really beautiful. There's, At the Castle Gate, and Melisande at her spinning wheel, and her death, which is very touching, and intermezzo, and a little love music. It's all very aphoristic and suggestive, rather than hard-hitting and, in your face. But wow, it's beautiful and atmospheric and full of good tunes and sensitivity and charm and all of those juicy things. And there's no reason you need to play all of it. You could listen to as much of it as you please. Find the bits that you like. Listen to them. It works perfectly. Then after that, well, here's one of the most popular things in the universe. Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik, a little night music, which you've heard. You know it. You know it by heart, at least the first movement. You may not know the whole thing, but it's da 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 da. That thing, right? It's for strings. It's a little serenade. It's a pocket symphony. It's in 4 movements, just like a symphony, although it probably originally began with a march, which some people add to it anyway, just to make it longer, because we have this desperate need to make things bigger. Always bigger, never petite and perky and lovely, which is what Eine kleine Nachtmusik is. The movements are all 3-4 minutes long, maximally, in perfect symphonic forms. It's just a gem. It's a gem. People sort of poo-poo it now because it's so popular and everyone knows it so well. But for heaven's sake, listen to the whole thing. It'll take you 15 minutes, 10 minutes, or listen to it in bits if you please. It's lovely, just lovely, lovely music. You may recognize the slow movement too. It's what Dallas was the captain of the Nostromo, an alien, is listening to in his little scene in the escape pod before he gets munched on by the alien. I mean, it's perfect music to listen to before you get munched on by an alien, so give it a shot. Next, Chopin, 24 Preludes, Opus 28. Yes, there are 24 of them. They are in all of the major and minor keys in our tonal system, which is rather nifty. You don't have to play them all at once. People didn't until very, very recently. It used to be that, great pianists would select a handful, 3, 4, 2, something, even one of them is an encore, and they would just play bits of them. Nowadays, everyone says, well, you got to listen to the whole set, which takes about 40 minutes if you're going to play the whole thing all the way through. But think about it, 24 pieces that last about 40 minutes. Well, they're very short for the most part. There's a couple like are 3 minutes long, but most of them are nice and petite. And you don't have to play them all at once. You sample them, go through them one at a time, play them, see which ones you like, make your own little groups. You can make your own impatient recital. I mean, that's what's fun about these things, that you can actually arrange them however you please. And Chopin would not have cared. He would never have expected that you would listen to all of them at a sitting, and there's no reason you need to. Next, if you're feeling ambitious, Mussorgsky, Ravel, Pictures at an Exhibition. Oh, this is fun. I mean, this is a whole bunch of vignettes based on paintings and drawings by Mussorgsky's friend, and they're incredibly well characterized, and each is a complete bit in and of itself until you get to the very end, and a couple of them run together. But basically, it's a suite of individual pieces unified by promenades, by music where you walk from one piece to the next. And again, it exists as a piano original, first of all, which you may enjoy, but it's much more popular and better known in Ravel's orchestration, which is stunning. It's an absolute catalog of what to do with a big orchestra in a small space, because each piece is voluptuously and brilliantly characterized by amazing orchestration. You get a solo saxophone, there's a solo tuba, there's lots of virtuosic writing for the woodwinds and the strings. It's just incredibly beautiful and colorful music. And again, you can play one picture, you can play all the pictures, you can stop where you want. You're walking from one to the next. You can sit down on a bench for a while and come back later. You can do whatever you want with it. And it's fantastic. And if you do listen to the whole thing, which lasts about half an hour, it works fabulously as a complete entity. It really does. So you've got it. You've got the best of both worlds. I used to listen to Bidlow separately, which is an ox cart with a tuba solo. It's going with the tuba going do 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 do. I can't do it. It's really cool. So give it a shot. You'll be happy that you did. Then let's do some dance stuff. Dvorak, the Slavonic dances. These are 16 pieces in 2 groups of 8. Which are simply the most amazing pieces of ethnic dance music anybody ever wrote. All of the tunes are original. Dvorak did not borrow them from actual folk music. He created them himself, and they're better. Oh, the tunes are just incredible. The forms are very simple. They're usually A, B, A form. Just, a tune, then a contrasting tune, then the tune comes back. Then maybe the contrasting tune comes back. That's all it is. But they are gorgeous, and they exist also in 2 versions for piano 4 hands. It's 2 people sitting at the same piano pounding away, or much more popularly for full orchestra. And they are absolutely individual pieces. I mean, they're done all the time as encores to symphony concerts. You almost never hear them performed in their entirety, which is a shame, actually, because I love listening to them all the way through, because they're so beautiful. I mean, they're just so captivating, and you can listen to just the first set of 8 or the second set of 8, or you can pick whichever ones you want from both sets, or you're guaranteed, let's put it this way, to find a couple of them that are going to absolutely get stuck in your head forever, and you'll want to listen to them for the rest of your life, every 5 minutes or so. They're just that catchy. It's absolutely fantastic. And another dance suite, but of a very different type. Prokofiev, Romeo and Juliet, his ballet. He made 3 suites from this ballet, because it's a big, long, full-length ballet. It's 2.5 hours long, just about, if you listen to the whole thing. And it's got tons and tons and tons of repetition in it. There are themes that keep coming back. There's, the Montagues and the Capulets fighting, and there's the love music for Romeo and Juliet, and there's all this stuff happening. Some of the tunes, particularly the Knight's Dance. So when it goes boom and dun 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 da 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 dum ba boom. It was the TV commercial for like Lexus, I think, used it, or some car company used it, and this stupid perfume called Egoist had a commercial with women in a house with windows opening and closing to the music while they're screaming Egoist like that. I have no idea, but they used that music. It was very, very popular in commercials for about like a year or 2. And these pieces are all dances. They're all relatively short. The longest is maybe 6 minutes, maybe The Death of Tybalt or something like that. And the balcony scene is longer too. It's like 7 or 8 minutes or 10 minutes. I don't know. It can last a bit, because love music tends to drone on, as they, think and talk about love, but never really do anything about it. But in any case, the individual numbers are delicious and fun to listen to. And again, you'll find a few, I guarantee, that are just going to get stuck with you, because they're so enjoyable, and the tunes are so catchy. They're just marvelous. So back to the piano for a few. Let's have a few piano things. Debussy's Preludes, 2 books of them. 2 books of 12. So that's 24 preludes in all. 24 is a popular number for preludes, although these are not in all of the major and minor keys. Each one is a programmatic entity. In other words, it describes something. They're character pieces, but Debussy does not put the title of what they describe until after the music is played. You don't know that when you listen to it on recordings, because they give you a list of them and they say this is what they are. But if you're playing it, you play the thing, and then in the last page it says, that's what it is. The engulfed cathedral, the hills of Anacapri. And, they're General Pickwick eccentric, or General Levine eccentric, whatever his name was. There's all kinds of stuff like that. And they are delightful works. What the West Wind Told. I mean, these fabulous little character pieces in Debussy's inimitable harmonic idiom. You know, they are evocative and mysterious and impressionistic, dare I say, and you're going to love them. You'll find a handful to enjoy. Most pianists, as with the Chopin Preludes and all these other pieces, never felt obliged to play them complete. They usually take a handful of them and insert them into a recital, a group of 2 or 3 or 4 of them. Or you spread them out and you play with them. On recordings, because of recordings largely, you know, we are encouraged to put the record on and leave it there and just let it run for its entire length. But there's no reason you have to do that. None at all. And in some ways, it's not healthy. I think sometimes you focus better if you just take a selection and really pay attention to them and then go on to something else, rather than when you take like a huge glob of something. It's like having, you know, too much pasta carbonara. You know, the never-ending pasta carbonara bowl may sound good on paper, but after you eat it, you may find yourself a little bit sick to your stomach. You know, it's too rich, too heavy a meal all at once. So take them in bits and enjoy them that way. And if you want to listen to all of them, you can listen to all of them. You've got it either way. You've got your choice. And that's the beauty of it. The same thing is true of Bach, his Inventions and Sinfonias. We have to do some Bach, right? Because you've got to do some Bach. And Bach is the guy where everybody is always pushing his biggest stuff. The B minor Mass, the St. Matthew Passion. Oh, yeah, the cantatas are shorter, but oh, yeah, he wrote 200 of them, and you're supposed to like them all. I mean, it gets to be absolutely overwhelming. Bach never thought that way. The Well-Tempered Clavier was big, huge 24 preludes and fugues at all the major and minor keys that he did twice, so there are 48 of them. You know, listening to that whole thing in a sitting, it's like, why? Bach never expected it, never in the world. And the Inventions and Sinfonias are particularly the case. He wrote them to encourage people to learn how to write, how to compose in 2 and 3 parts in beautiful counterpoint. They are delightful. They are short. They are incredible pieces based on really, really distinctive melodies. But on the other hand, they're simple. I mean, they're really hard to play. you need the 3-part Inventions. You need 3 hands. There's no question about it. But there's a simplicity to them, an elegance. They're not out to sort of wow you with their phenomenal contrapuntal technique. They're there to show you what good music can be, and they do that. They do it with total directness and self-effacing honesty, and they're delicious. I played a couple of the 2-part Inventions back when I was learning piano, and they were like a freaking nightmare because I was a terrible pianist. But I love the music. I mean, I took the easy way out for all of these things. I took a look at the music. I banged my way through a couple of them. Then I went out and bought a record and listened to them that way. Modern life has probably not been all that beneficial to the cause of creating better musicianship as performers. But boy, it certainly makes our life easy as listeners. So you could sample those as you please, as you can. The Grieg lyric pieces. Now, this is a whole big collection of stuff. There's a few dozen of them. And Grieg wrote them throughout his career and published them in little sets, and little books and sets and whatnot. And I have no issue with people getting any collection, any number of them. They're just lovely. They're all little programmatic pieces like the Debussy Preludes. In fact, Debussy was influenced by Grieg, although he was not all that interested in admitting it. Some of these pieces, like Bell Ringing, for example, are very impressionistic sounding. But there are some really famous pieces in here that you'll know. The March of the Trolls and some of these other things. Wedding Day at Trollhaugen and things like that. They're incredibly lovely in terms of their melodic content, and short and delicious. And I would recommend, they tend to fall below the radar. in the universe of, piano piece things. And I'm not sure why. I just think that they're so charming, and they were overwhelmingly popular, in Grieg's lifetime and afterwards. And there was a bit of a reaction because that sort of innocent, romantic, tuneful, they're very similar in that sense to Mendelssohn's Songs Without Words, which also could very easily have been on this list, which are little sets of short pieces. They became known sort of as girls' music, ladies' salon music, but some of the greatest pianists in the world played them. Walter Giesecke, Emil Gilels, and they did it stunningly because they're amazing works, and they all made selections. They never felt some obligation to play all dozens of them, although you can buy collections of all of them extremely well done. And you can make your own selection, or you can simply get a really lovely recital like the Emil Gilels record on DG, which is incredible, and listen to as many as you like. Leif Ove Ansnes, the Norwegian pianist, of course, does them as well, and very, very beautifully. So give some of them a shot. You'll be very pleasantly surprised by just how charming they are. And they're the kind of works that they benefit from if you have a short attention span, because you'll just take a few and you'll give them the time that they deserve for as long as your attention holds out. They will grab your attention. I guarantee that. Next, well, let's do a symphony, shall we? I know it's hard because, listening to a big work in 4 movements that lasts 40 minutes is like kind of cruel sometimes. And some people just don't have the energy or the time or the ability to sit through it. And I'm with you. I mean, it's something that you train yourself to do eventually. I always used to, when I was little, I used to skip all the slow movements because they put me to sleep. I would listen to the first bit, maybe the finale, the dance part, the scherzo. Oh, gosh, that was fun. And the rest of it, who cared? I took, all kinds of little excerpted movements, and I used to put them together for my own enjoyment and just listen to those. I would make tapes that had like my favorite symphonic movements on them, and I would little cassette tapes, and I would play them for myself, and I wouldn't bother with the rest of the stuff. It's okay. It's okay, although you don't want to tell your heavy-duty classical music friends because they'll go, But you can listen to an entire fabulous, profoundly funny, delicious, entertaining symphony if you go for Haydn Symphony No. 70. People don't know about this symphony very well, but it's an extraordinary masterpiece. It's phenomenal. All 4 movements barely last 15 minutes. If you're lucky, it'll last 15 minutes. There are a bunch of symphonies that do this. Prokofiev's Classical Symphony is another one. It's 14 minutes long, 12 minutes long. I don't know. The whole thing. And this symphony by Haydn is not only a short piece, it's a deep piece. First of all, it's a contrapuntal masterpiece if you're into the intellectual aspects of counterpoint. The second movement is an invertible counterpoint, double counterpoint, invertible counterpoint, in theme and variations form. The finale is a triple fugue, but it's one of the funniest pieces of music anybody ever wrote. It's music that's created out of nothing. The opening theme is da, da, da. That's the theme. Basically, it's 4 repeated notes played up and down the scale. And out of that, Haydn creates this enormous contrapuntal edifice. The whole thing's over in less than 3 minutes. The whole movement. It's unbelievable. So if you want the most content packed into the shortest possible space, Haydn's Symphony No. 70 is your thing. And you will love it. I guarantee it. It is so much fun. And similarly, something that just packs a huge amount of music and a huge piece in a really small space. Janacek's Sinfonietta, our last piece. The Sinfonietta, it means little symphony, right? It's a little symphony. It's written for this enormous orchestra. It's got 14 trumpets and extra timpani and all kinds of brass pounding and harps and things. And you're just not going to believe how big it is. But it's in 5 movements and it lasts 20 minutes. So do the math. 4 minutes a movement. Some of them are shorter. The 4th movement's about 2.5 minutes. The last movement's about 6 minutes. They don't divide up in perfectly even chunks. But Janacek is the perfect composer for people with short attention spans. I did a list, an earlier video, which is composers for people with short attention spans, where you can, investigate the works of composers, but I didn't recommend specific pieces as I'm doing here. I thought that sort of as a supplement to that, I should give a list of works. And the Sinfonietta is just fabulous. Janacek is the fastest composer that ever lived. Even the way he writes is usually in short note values, like eighth notes and 16th notes. And his music consists of short, brief little tunes, like that. That's one of them. Or it's like that. They're usually really short, even his slow movements. Da 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 da, ya da 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 da. That's the tune, and he floats them on top of ostinatos, meaning repeated rhythmic figures that usually go do 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 do. So the whole thing's constantly moving, and it's exciting as hell and unbelievably catchy, and it sounds like nobody else, and it's in totally magnetic. It attracts you, but it's short. But when it's over, you feel like you've listened to something long. He gets a lot done in a tiny space, and it's like Haydn in that sense. And it's just fantastic. Because if you have a short attention span, but you want to hear something that's really big and grand, and that'll stretch your speakers and your sound system and give you just a fantastic amount of, the maximum bang for your buck for the minutes that you invest, try Janacek's Sinfonietta. You will love it. So there you have it, 12 glorious works for people with short attention spans. Those of you with short attention spans who want to contribute other works to this list are welcome to do so. You've got the criteria set up. You have to be able, they're either short by themselves or they are excerptable. Let's put it that way. Or you can arrange them or take them and do whatever you want with them. And there's just bazillions of them. Because the truth of the matter is, these big, long works, symphonies and quartets and all these things, they're the exceptions. They're not the rules. That's one of the reasons we respect them so much, because they are extraordinary and unusual. But the vast majority of music that we listen to is short and extremely digestible on a first hearing. So go ahead, sample and digest, and keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.